Thank you, and good afternoon. There's some really important research that's been shared by the Cultural Learning Alliance here in the UK about the impact on children and young people who have an active engagement with the arts and culture at school. And this shows that those children are 3 times more likely to get a degree than children from low-income families who haven't had that exposure. And in the same group of children, they're twice as likely to volunteer, and they're 20% more likely to vote as young adults. This sort of impact doesn't surprise us at the Royal Shakespeare Royal Shakespeare Company. We see every day the impact that Shakespeare can have in unlocking so many things for so many different people. Shakespeare, like all great artists, can help us understand ourselves, understand each other, and understand the world in which we live. Through our work, we see that not only can we get an appreciation of those plays themselves, but the plays can become symbols of inclusion and equality. The Royal Shakespeare Company, as many of you will know, one of the world's most famous theatre companies, very straightforward mission to present the finest experiences of Shakespeare in performance and share that with as many people and as wide a range of people as possible around the world. But at the very heart of what we do as well, and the purpose of this talk, is our absolute commitment to trying to make sure that the first experience every child has of Shakespeare is vivid, that it's accessible, and that it's enjoyable. We knew it was going to work, but we didn't know how great the effect was going to be. This was a comment from one of the teachers we work with in schools. We undertake education work with hundreds of thousands of children across the country and have so much evidence of the impact of that work. The work involves creative residencies in schools, professional development for teachers, artist residencies, and performance festivals for children and young people. And that work leads to improved self-esteem for children, increases aspiration levels, and improves levels of attainment. The work itself comes from our rehearsal room approach, the same approach we use to present our plays on stage, we use to inform our education work. And from that, we've created our manifesto, Stand Up for Shakespeare. See it early, see it live, and be active. Stand up for Shakespeare. Do it on your feet. Say the words aloud. And through this work, we find that very young children, even as young as 4 and 5, engage with Shakespeare and find it fun. They love it. They don't have a fear for it. And through that work, they develop a relationship with the theatre, and often with impact far beyond their individual experience.
Fabulous, intriguing, eccentric, yeah.
Wars, drinking.
She said magical.
Magical.
Yeah.
Fighting. Yeah. Violence. Inspiring. Knowledgeable. Wonderful. Mysterious.
Dedicated.
Determined.
Joyful.
Traditionally, historically, good. You should come and see Shakespeare, because if you watch one of his plays, you would want to watch all of them.
You should definitely watch it. Just to see if you like it. Because we like it.
People would have stood there for, in the old times, they stood there for 3 hours.
Yeah.
And something has to be amazing for you to be able to stand there and watch it for 3 hours.
He's helped me learn because of drama. When you act it out, when you take that moment, you'll have that feeling in you that, whoa, this is amazing. They're not the same, they're all different, and they're really interesting. When I first heard the word Shakespeare, I was thinking, history. Because I'm not very good at history. And then when I actually came to this theatre, I was like, history!
I love it. At the beginning of this year, I wouldn't believe that I'd be here doing this and I'd be really into reading Shakespeare.
I think that this is a great place. You get to act, you get to get all your emotions out of you. That's just the acting part. Watching people, it's like there's emotions thrown at you that makes you want to push yours out. You put the whole world into one play.
Every single play you can relate to modern day life. That's why it's still exciting, and that's why it always will be exciting.
So we work with teachers, as I say, across the country. And one of the head teachers we work with, Brian Anderson, Stoke-on-Trent, was very succinct about how the best learning happens. It happens when we're physically engaged, when we're emotionally engaged, and when we're intellectually engaged. The rehearsal room is, of course, a very physical space. It's also a place of shared discovery, of shared exploration, a place where actors and the director work together to bring the play alive and to create the world of the play. And we find that children and young people respond incredibly well to that active approach. They love the creation of a company. They love the fact that it's us, not me. They love that creation of the world, of imagining another way of being. And they really enjoy the text, engaging with the text as part of the process. And part of that is in that process, they have to talk to each other. They have to think about what it all might mean, how it might work. And that engagement is a really crucial part of their learning. We often have children who say that in a more conventional classroom environment, they're not necessarily engaged. It can be a bit boring, being spoken to, watching a film. This way they say, this is fun. I'm learning things for myself. And the emotional hook, as you saw a little in the film, can be really very important at all as well. We're invited into a world, but invited into that world in a very safe space. Children love to have the chance to walk in the shoes of the characters, to imagine what the characters might feel. And as they say, it helps with problems in life by seeing the characters' problems. We recently were working in a school, and there was a new boy in the class. He'd recently joined the school. He'd gone to live with his grandma. And the class were working on King Lear. And they were talking about lies and white lies. Should Cordelia have told a lie to say what her father wanted her to hear? That developed into a discussion about conditional love and unconditional love. Is there, the group asked, unconditional love in families? The group as a whole was saying, yes, of course there is. This boy, who hadn't really engaged with the class before, said, no, I don't think there is. My mum gave me away. He hadn't had the chance to explore that before. He was able to do that with the respect and the listening of his peers because of the safe space of that environment. The intellectual challenge is also significant, using the original text, the original language. Again, as Brian said, there's something about this that children really love. We shouldn't think that children don't want that challenge. They love the ambiguity of the text. They love the fact that maybe nobody actually knows what it means, that there are a range of answers, and therefore, and crucially, that their idea might be right. As one chap was saying to us, he wasn't sure how well he could develop his reading. He was being taught English in a class outside the mainstream with a group of diverse educational needs. He was studying The Tempest with us, with this active approach. And during this process, his levels of literacy, his actual attainment levels increased in steps. And he was surprised by this. His teacher was surprised by it. So they had a chat about why it was happening. And he came back to the point about engagement, about fun, but also because they had space to think about the ideas and explore the ideas. As he said, you could try stuff out and see if it was rubbish or not. That gave him confidence, gave him a real chance to develop. He continued to do that and then got back into the mainstream class for his year. This idea of people's ideas actually being valued is very powerful. Children don't say they get that in every class, sadly, in every subject, but they really engage with it through this process. And it can have an impact on the children that one least expects it to. And we think this is to do with the whole process itself, but also because of the way Shakespeare uses words, the rhythm, the use of metaphor. And researchers at Liverpool University have given this a study, and they've worked with volunteers who have read a passage of Shakespeare, exactly as written, and then that same passage translated into the contemporary language. And rather like the slide we saw earlier of the brain responding to maths, they found that when people were reading the Shakespeare with the less usual choice of words, the surprising use of sentences, the brain was actually lit up in a different way. And we describe this effect when we see it in children as being literally lit up by Shakespeare. This experience is from across the country, as I say, with a lot of schools, a lot of theatres, and over 690,000 students. So we have many examples of this impact. It's really hard evidence as well as every meaningful story. And again, the University of Warwick have done some research with us. We have schools in what we call our Learning and Performance Network that have worked with us over a 10-year period, a very in-depth approach to the work. And as you can see here, they've looked at attitudes to Shakespeare and attitudes to school as well. And the blue control line you can see stays static. The red line with its upward trajectory are the group of children that have been involved in this approach, this active approach to learning Shakespeare. And you can see in both cases, they've increased significantly. We call this the "if I can do Shakespeare, I can do anything" effect. Someone does Shakespeare, they enjoy it, they find they're good at it, they have that feeling of success. They can then apply that to something else that they might think is hard. They know they now have a chance of achieving it. Beyond this as well, we find there's incredible impact in the community. We find that because there's improvement in the schools, and the schools we work with are often those that have the least engagement with cultural activity, that are in more challenging areas. And once we find we get the success of individuals in the schools, success of classes, the schools work with other schools, and particularly if they work together on projects and they engage the parents, you can see a real increase in profile of those schools in the community. Again, emphasizing the point about confidence and self-esteem. And as parents say, there's another life out there and I want to be part of it. We work with a school in Margate with another wonderful head teacher. And they found that through their work, that parents were saying, I now feel part of the community, and actually I feel part of the country. We went there, the Royal Shakespeare Company went into their school in an area with generational unemployment, very low aspiration levels. We were there, they came out to Stratford, they worked very visibly in the community. And parents, picking up the point at the start of this talk about voting, were saying, now I feel enfranchised, I understand my cultural entitlement, I am now going to vote and be part of that. And it's the same with performance. We see individual impact on children when they perform, the impact on them, the impact on their parents who actually see potential being released they hadn't thought might be there. Of course, the children come to see us perform. Or not. You'll have to imagine various scenes of the Royal Shakespeare Company performing here, which the children have had a chance to experience. Sometimes, not only do the children perform, but we perform, they see us. We perform with the children. Last year we did a nationwide tour of A Midsummer Night's Dream. We toured to 12 cities across the country, all the regions and nations of the UK. And when we were there, we worked with amateur companies, adult amateur companies in each place, but we also worked with school children. We worked with 580 children, and every 2 nights the group of children on the stage changed. And we have the most incredible feedback of what that meant, emphasizing everything I've spoken about so far. We had one boy in a school who was on the verge of being excluded, but he wanted to be part of the project. So his head teacher said, okay, your last chance, you can be part of this. The project involved teaching and approaching the school children in exactly the same way as we did the professional company, the adult company. They had to focus, they had to commit to the project, and they had to take responsibility for the outcome of how well the play was when we presented it. And this child came to all the rehearsals. He'd been a regular truanter, but he was regularly in school. He turned out to be a talented actor with a wonderful singing voice, even though there wasn't music in the school. And he got to one of the performances, and the children were all just in the wings waiting to come on stage, and they were getting quite frisky and excited. And one of the adult actors was thinking, oh goodness, I'm going to have to do something about this. I'm going to have to talk to them. But lo and behold, this little chap stepped forward, looked at his peers, said, shush, focus. This is our last chance to get it right. Complete change for him, for himself, for his engagement with his peers, his engagement with the school. After the performance, there was a post-show talk, and his dad spoke movingly. He was moved to tears by the change he'd seen in his son. The head teacher spoke in the same way. Incredible change. And a year later, that child is still in school. So for one boy there, just as everything else I've spoken about, Shakespeare changed everything. Thank you.